Hi, this disembodied voice you're listening to is Alan Emmerich from Victory Point Games, and I'm here to take you on a one-game turn tour of our upcoming States of Siege game release from designer John Welch. This one is on the English Civil Wars, and it's called Cruel Necessity, and it's coming to stores soon, so look for that cruel necessity. Wait, never mind. What we're going to do is take a quick tour of the board. Here we go. Player aid chart, States of Siege style cards. Let's see, we need a good close-up of the card here with all kinds of great historical data on it. The map, as you can see, is England, Scotland, and Ireland. And these are where your problems come from as the player, because you represent the forces of Parliament, Puritanism, Republicanism and rightness, godliness. And opposing you are the forces of monarchy, absolutism. Yes, King Charles I stands in opposition to you, and you must promote the parliamentary cause. What you have are four basic forces on the map opposing you. The Irish, the Scots with their little armies. Armies are these cool, long, rectangular pieces. There's the Irish army. The Army of the North and the Army of the West. Now, these North and West armies are trying to converge on London, which, if you're a States of Siege player, you know that that's the zero space. Don't lose the zero space, or you lose the game. In addition, Ireland and Scotland, they don't go to London. But when they get down to their last space and they light up again, you get a special problem. For example, when the Scots are in Northumberland and they light up, they're going to push the Army of the North even further toward London. So it's like the Army of the North gets free activations with the Scots pushing them from behind. When the Irish get into their number one box, it's a special treat for you called Irish Troubles. And if there's one thing the English know the Irish can do, it's troubles. All right, and so we got all that factored in. Over here are the 6 political tracks that you also have to keep an eye on, because matters military are one thing. Matters political, that's equally important. You have 6 tracks that split right here. There's an above and a below. Above are the forces of opposition and despair. You have Catholicism. But opposite that, on the forces of godly rule and republicanism, you have Puritanism. And these markers work off each other. In the political arena, you have parliamentarianism and monarchy. Whoops, I got to switch those around. And over here on the international tracks, you have Ireland and you have Scotland. And you have to keep your political forces in line, because only when these stars line up correctly, not only do you score the victory points, but you're also able to acquire, dun dun, achievements. Yes, the English Civil War is all about changing how England works and establishing new types of government and religion. So these are like quests in a role-playing game. You have a certain amount of time to fulfill them, and you've got to get everything lined up and then close the deal. All right, to play a States of Siege game, if you remember that, you begin by revealing the next card and just doing what it says. So let's do our sample turn. The next card is, dun dun, whoops, I have to read it. It's the Battle of Auld Walton Moor. Okay, now that's a battle card. And each card's in 3 sections: military, religious, and political. But the military is got red. See, this one is black, that one is red. Red means you get to fight a battle on the tactical battle board. So guess what? Off we go here to the tactical battle board. Welcome to the Cruel Necessity Battle Resolution map. So now we're going to fight a tactical battle. You simply follow the steps and you're good to go. We're going to create a battle with using a push of pikes system in the middle. Watch this. First we have to declare which army we're going to fight. Well, we're going to fight the Army of the North over here on the strategic battle board, and that's where the results will be applied. Next, you can use any one named unit. Now, we happen to have one named unit over here. This named unit is an infantry, musket and pike unit, and it's our London trained bands. And since we want this battle to be fought with some good music, we will apply the London trained bands right here in battle. Now, I'm just kidding, folks. Those are not trained bands who are musicians. They're soldiers. Other units we could have, but that have not arrived yet in the game, would include guys like the new model army, Cromwell, and Ironsides. All right, now those sound like musicians, Cromwell and the Ironsides. All right, the next step in a battle is to get your forces lined up. So we'll put out some musket and pike guys and some cavalry guys on each side, and then we will reveal the amazing flavors and see what the strength matchups are. Well, that's good for us. Ooh, they got a couple twos. Those are weak. The ranges are generally from 1 to 6 for musket and pike strength, and 2 to 5 for cavalry. So, oh, that's good. That's 6, 3, 4, 2. All right. The next step, they have Prince Rupert. This guy is bad news. He's some pretty heavy royalist cavalry that's going to be in our way. All right, the next step is events. Every time a 2-strength unit pops up on the battlefield, you get to draw an event card. So we're going to do 3 of them. There's 3 2-strength units. And there's the first event. And let me take a look at that. Drylock cavalry pistols. We can play this right now to add +1 strength to any of our cavalry units. Let's think about that. We can play it any time during this step. The next unit here is, oh, that's bad, London trained bands. Because the London regiment mutinies, we're going to lose the London trained bands. They're going to go back here to the recovery box. They're out for a battle. We have to draw another unit. Great. But it's a 4. Well, at least it's the same strength, so that could have been worse. We could have pulled a 1 out, and then we'd be really in sad shape here in the middle. And then our third card is, yay, this is a goodie. Fire by Forlorn Hope. This allows us a reroll in one of the sections of the battle, should push come to shove. So what I think we'll do now is we'll use our Doglock pistols. We'll add 1 strength point, get a +1 strength marker, always useful. And we'll add that to a cavalry unit. We'll add it to our 4 strength guy here versus Rupert of 5 and even things up. Now to fight the battle, you simply roll a die for each side, adding the red die to the red side, the blue die to the blue side, and you resolve 4 sections of the battle line. First, second, the cavalry go first and second, and then third and fourth, the infantry come joining in. So here we go. To resolve this section, the first battle is 4 + 1 is 5 versus 5. We roll the dice, and we see that the score will be, 10 to 10. That's a tie. If you beat the other guy by at least 2, that's a victory. So this is a draw. So what we're going to do is take our unit and put him over here in the draw box. And Prince Rupert gets away. Then we'll resolve the second cavalry flank. Aha! We have 6 to their 4. We have won by 2 points. Genius, I say, genius. So now this guy goes in the victory box over here. Now that the battle is over, we need to apply the result. And where the majority of the pieces are determines the outcome. Well, look, the majority of the pieces are in the victory box. Yay! We got a victory. So, with this victory, what happens? Well, the affected army, and remember we chose the Army of the North, is going to be flipped over to its disordered side. So that's very good news indeed. And that's going to be the outcome of this battle. So now, whoosh, we rush back over to the main map to apply that result and continue the turn. And welcome back to the main board. First we apply our battle result, and that is to disorder the Army of the North. Now that's its full strength side where it's a 4. Its disordered side is tinted yellow-green, and its strength is reduced by 1. So that's always good news, because those are the armies you got to beat up and push around, just like in any good States of Siege game. So now we return to our card and apply all the events. This is essentially the artificial intelligence taking its toll on you. So let me put this down here and read it off. It says the Army of the North will activate. Well, the Army of the North is disordered, so it spends its activation recovering from disorder. So that's good. It's not attacking my blue fortress. Blue is Parliament, red is Royalist, so it's not going to attack my fortress in this area. Always a good thing. Next, the Army of the West advances. Boo! The Army of the West is now near the fortress of Bristol, and they'll start attacking that in future turns. Over here on the religion track, it says Puritanism +1, hot diggity, and over here on the political track, Parliament +1. Those are also bits of good news, not +1 strength, +1 die roll modifier. At the beginning of this turn, we have 8 zeal points. Now that means we saved up a bunch from last turn, because typically you only get 5 a turn from your fortresses. The fortresses give you your allowance, and we'll see that at the end. So with 8 zeal points, and each zeal point means you get an action. You get to roll the die or tick something over. So let's see what our strategy is going to be. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. This card also says besiege or fortify Bristol and Hull. Yikes. Because we own them, the enemy's going to get a free siege. If the enemy owned them, they'd get a free fortify. It's always bad when it says besiege or fortify. So it says Bristol or Hull. So we got to deal with Bristol first. Here we go. Bristol. Now, this is kind of a cool thing. The little fort markers have got teeth, and the strengths vary. So Bristol right now is a strength 3 fortress, and the red evil royalist die, if it exceeds the number 3, it's going to reduce that fortress by a tick. It gets 2 rolls when sieging, and the first one is a hit, and it lowers the strength of the fortress from 3 to 2 on the map. Yikes! The second is a 2, which does not beat a 2, so the fortress of Bristol holds on mightily. Over here, we have to deal with a free siege on Hull, okay? And so here come the royalists, and the first hit is a 1, and 1 does not beat a 3, which is its current strength, so they get a second hit, and that's a 4, which does beat the 3 and reduces the fortress by a tick. All right, the fortresses are waning in strength. What shall we do? Well, having just won a battle, and that being one of the prerequisites to get this achievement card is you need to win a battle. Let's see if we can muster up the other stars to line up in order and see if we can acquire this. It also says we need Parliament in the A zone and Puritanism in the B zone. So if you look over here, there's a letter grade on the side of each track, and both Parliament and Puritanism are currently in the B grade. I need to raise Parliament to an A grade. So we look at our Parliament marker, which is here. To raise it to an A, I have to roll a 5 or better. But I have a +1 die roll modifier from this turn's politics. So our first zeal we spend to roll a 1 and not advance the Parliament marker. That's bad. Why don't we try rolling a little higher? We'll spend another zeal point. And, okay, we won't roll that either. Well, being stupidly determined, we'll try one more time to raise this up. And in pure genius way, we roll a 5. With the +1 die roll modifier, that makes 6. 6 is better than 5, so bing! We advance Parliament to the A grade. With Parliament having an A grade, Puritanism a B grade, and a battle victory in hand, for the cost of 4 zeal, ring, we drop down to 1. We can acquire this card. Now what's so cool about acquiring these cards? See them big blue triangles at the bottom? Those are positive victory points. Now, if you look around the map, there's triangles everywhere. Each fortress has got a triangle. The tracks are filled with triangles. And if you ever want to know your score, all you got to do is add the blue triangles, subtract the red triangles, and that's your score. And honestly, you can pretty much see it at a glance around the board, which is very convenient. But these 3 blue triangles aren't going to rise and fall, fluctuate with the tides of war. This is a great political achievement, so this is money in the bank. And by doing this, we also get a special bonus, but we'll deal with that in a minute. All right, we now have 1 zeal point left. Is there anything urgent that we need to take care of? Well, we could attack the army of the north and try and push them back from the threatened forces of Hull. But with this last zeal point, London is kind of weakish. I'm going to spend it to raise the fortification level of London. And that's the turn. Now, typically you roll dice to push armies around and advance markers and buy cards, and there's a lot of cool little moving parts, but there's a ton of narrative in this game. The last thing you do each turn is housekeeping, and housekeeping works like this. You remove all the modifier markers, because they only last for 1 turn, and then you collect your allowance for next turn. You get 1 zeal point for Bristol, if it's yours, 1 for Hull, and 3 for London, so we have 5 points to start next turn with. And on that cheery note, we would draw the next card and continue.